Get right into prep for Georgia Tech, and obviously, they're coming off a big win where they rallied and played some really good football. And in terms of your questions and injury report, I'll do the best I can to answer them. We're having several guys still evaluated. So that being said, questions.
Mario, you spoke about being disappointed this morning, the team's physicality.
Yes.
The physicality seemed to be there, well, it was there at Texas A&M. Do you see the same, level now, and what's the difference between then and now?
I see it in spurts. I see it from some guys and others that have to keep improving it. It's our job to keep coaching them so it gets better, because physicality is mentality and it's technique. It's both, and you can't have it without having just one of those aspects. So we're going to keep driving it home. At this time of year when you're playing, important football games, physicality's got to show. It's got to show it big from the first quarter to the end.
So could that be more mentality, I would think, this time
It's
around?
both.
Can you update?
That can be developed or taught, or is it kind of an innate trait that players either
That would be both also. You want guys that naturally are physical and throw their bodies around. You want guys that play with reckless abandon as it relates to themselves. Spilling a block is spilling a block, getting underneath it, right? And make sure that thing is launched and pressed outside. Boxing is boxing, right? When I say boxing a block, make sure it stays within the box. And when you do, you've got to be very physical. At linebacker, get down low, you got to get your hands on linemen. You got to press and butt and separate, shed blocks and make plays. And all that requires physicality and mentality, combination of everything from the weight room in the off season to natural ability, innate ability to do that again and again and again, especially when it hurts, when your body's tired, right? It's always been a trademark of the great players here, both on offense and defense. So that's what we're working to get to from a development standpoint and talent acquisition standpoint.
Coach, can you update just the status of Tyler Van Dyke and also Jalen Rivers, whatever you can tell us about those two players?
Tyler, we're going to evaluate Tyler as the week goes on. Probably in the same spot we were a week ago, but he is, I would say he's better than he was a week ago at this time. Jalen's going to be under further evaluation. So we won't know yet.
If Tyler can't go this coming week, I guess, do you know for sure whether it be Jake or Jakari on Saturday? And if you don't, what do you want to see from them over the next few days?
We'll evaluate that as it comes. Right now all the focus is on getting Tyler well. Both Jake has had his really good moments during the year. He's had his rough moments. Jakari got some time. He's had his good moments, and he's had his learning moments as well. So we'll evaluate that, and we'll probably keep that under wraps for a bit until we know more about Tyler.
How do you keep Jake's confidence up, or what can you do?
By being real with him, being honest. I don't think you sugarcoat anything. The greatest form of respect for a player, I would always think, is to be honest with them, be direct with them, and then provide a path for betterment, a path for improvement. Go set goals for them, and then coach them hard, coach them fair, and find a way to get them to play to the best of their ability.
How do you feel like Jakari's handling the moment, just being thrust into kind of a bigger role on Saturday? How did he do handling that moment?
Well, I think he did well. I don't think it was too big for him. I mean, he's a guy that was a 4-year starter, and I think he won more games in the state of Georgia than just about any quarterback there. So I think all those guys, they're competitors. They shy away from him.
Each quarterbacks have their own strengths, obviously. You're trying to compare all of them, but at what point do you sort of say, okay, this is the guy we're going with, and this is our game plan, so we can get ready to play a game on Saturday?
Sure, as soon as possible. You always do. Do some of the things that, because of our injury situation, you keep something under wraps. It's better for the program that we do, right? Because where we are in terms of injuries and having to shuffle things around, we gain nothing by putting out there what we're going to go with, right? Let opponents prepare for everything so we can go from there. That's just being honest.
You talked Saturday after the game about how angry you were. What sort of a response have you seen from the players? Has there been kind of a similar reaction?
We'll see on tomorrow's practice, right? I mean, talk is talk, and bottom line is you got to show up and do the work. So the expectation is that guys show up prepared, ready to work, ready to get after it. We're very blunt, very honest, without being discouraging. We don't believe in that, but again, the greatest form of respect is truth and honesty, and you go at it right directly, right between the eyes. Things that we have to improve upon, and it starts with coaching. I always say that when we take this, we take it together. There's no separation. There's no finger pointing or BS or nonsense. Building a program is hard, and to build it the right way, you've got to have when you have tough moments, you've got to have tough responses. So that's what we're working on.
It seems like the team's kind of, I think about the North Carolina game about a month ago, and you guys were right there with them. And then obviously on Saturday, a lot rougher. It seems like the team's kind of regressed in some aspects. Have you seen that at all?
I think on Saturday we regressed. You know, in terms of the team, we've had some ups, we've had some downs. Saturday was a rough day. That's the best way I can put it.
All right, what's the difference as far as what you can learn about a team, you know, during camp versus, you know, actually getting the heat of the moment in ball games, maybe personality-wise about players that you learn, which is different from practice and all the other preparations?
Sure, in camp you learn who gives you the best chance because of what they've shown you. Guys that have earned the right to go out there because they understand what we're trying to do, how to do it, and why we're doing it that way, and they do it hard or better than the next guy. And then when the lights come on, you find out what exactly, you know, a guy can or cannot do. You know, sometimes the moment gets too big for a guy, sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes they turn on and makes them go even better and harder. So there's nothing like the truth of the tape on game day. That will always tell the truth, and I think that's always important. Take a deep dive into analysis, individual analysis of game day tape, right? Who's doing well, who's not doing well. Find a path for correction, right? A path for technique and fundamentals. Eye discipline, things that show up better, you know, but I guess to put it bluntly, yeah, on game day, it'll show.
In terms of technique and what you're teaching guys, and what you spend all that time in the spring and summer spending to get them to play the way you want, how much of that do you see where they're playing with the technique and everything that you're taught?
I think some guys have the capabilities physically, the power, the hips, the ankle flexibility, the length, the explosiveness to do it and do it on a fairly consistent basis, and some are a work in progress, you know. It is the body types that we have, we're completely immersed in helping them develop and get better. And some could do it much better than others can. And some got a long ways to go to be able to do that at the level to play competitive Power 5 football.
Mario, you've talked, you know, the last few weeks especially, you knew that there was a lot of work to do when you got here. I guess what were the expectations that you had when you arrived here last year? And I guess where do you feel like you guys have met those expectations, and where do you think maybe you guys
That's for a long sit down. We'll talk about that after the season. I knew there was work. You know, I've said it a million times, I'll say it again. We left some really, really established places that we worked our butts off to make established. Okay? And we left it knowing that Miami had lost its way, and we were going to do whatever necessary to get it back on track. Because when Miami's done the right way, Miami, in my opinion, will always be the best. So that's why we're here. We're not shying away from that. We're not shying away from the lumps. You take them, you eat them, you grow, you learn, and you go. You know, but there's no head faking. There's no, you know, sugarcoating or BS. You got to work, man. You know, got to work it into reality.
Coach,
Mario,
go ahead, Susan.
the offensive struggles of going, I guess, 3 consecutive games with no touchdowns. Have you ever been through anything like that? And how do
It's
you
been a long time.
remedy that?
It's been a long time. Got to work.
Coach, I mean, I guess a lot of kids, future of the program, were at the game on Saturday, and I can't mention names, but just kind of getting a look at them, being in a room with them, just, you know, how much does that encourage you? And then, you know, just, I guess your message to those kids, it was kind of a pretty unique group of prospects
I mean,
there.
it's simple, you know. I think they all see it, you know. The future is awesome. Just got to work it into reality, you know. And especially first years, they come with lumps sometimes. You know, remember, every place is left in a certain state, right? There's a certain level of whatever that a place is in when there's a restart, you know, a reset. And yeah, we're super excited about the guys that are developing, and we're super excited about the guys that are coming in, because that's, you know, it's what Miami should look like, and that's what Miami's going to look like.
Coach, you've talked a lot about laying the foundation and things like that, maybe behind the scenes. Can you share a couple of those things that, you know, not necessarily with results or whatnot, but maybe behind the scenes things that you're either pleased with progress or things that are going foundation-wise?
I think we're creating much better habits off the field. It starts with accountability as it relates to class, tutoring appointments, right? All your academic appointments, as it relates to how you're living, you know, away from the football field, and how you're, you know, conducting yourself. I think there's a lot of progress in that, you know, because it's all that leads to being a better football player, you know. And it's important. We should have an elite academic status and GPA every single year. We should be, and that had fallen by the wayside. Well, now it's climbing back up, and Jessica Lopez, who I can't, I have to mention her. She's been incredibly instrumental in coming in and doing a great job with that. So that's one of a gazillion ways in terms of the things that we do from an accountability standpoint, because it should be done like you would want in your very own household. The same standards and principles, right? Of being a great person, of doing right by others, of having elite habits. So, but that's definitely for another sit down. It's a long, long time.
Coach, the big plays given up in the last game, I mean, what do you attest to that, and how do you fix it?
First one, we should have gotten hands. Everybody wants to point at DJ Ivy. That's not on him. Safety should have gotten hands on that guy and rerouted him. But of course, you watch the corner trailing a guy for a big touchdown, and everybody wants to point at him. That's not fair. So that one could have been very easily, prevented. One after that, I believe we had a penalty on an interception in the end zone. Counter. Bottom line is, when you box it in like that, you've got to come up and make a tackle. And we didn't help ourselves by we provided shorter fields. We were 3 and out, had a short punt, right? We shanked one. We got to coach the whole thing better, and we got to play it better, man. It was not good.
Coach, you just talked about incoming recruits. How much does competition, you've been on some talented teams, how much does competition contribute to development?
It's everything. It's everything. You never want entitlement in your program. Like, oh, I get to play because so-and-so left. It doesn't work that way. Not if you're going to be really good, right? If you want to do this for a living, the next thing when you're in an NFL room, you don't go back to your dorm and, go have your meal card swiped to get your food and whatnot. You're either sent home or you're part of the team, right? Real competition, there's real consequences. So I think competition brings the best or the worst out of everybody. That's the reality, And in my opinion, you got to stack your roster a certain way so that competition is a welcome thing. Competition can never be seen as a threatening thing. Competition makes the entire organization, the entire place better, And that's why when you are recruiting, you want to make sure that that you're establishing that very clearly, right? So that guys aren't looking for, hey, I'm going to come and be the man. No, I'm going to come in to compete. You have to be very honest with guys.
How do you, how are you gonna match energy with a team? Like Georgia Tech, they had a comeback win. I'm sure they're energized. You guys obviously had a rough time on Saturday. How do you make sure you can kind of match that energy, in a road game like this?
With reality, bottom line. We've done a good job playing on the road in conference. We got to go do it against a team that played really well this past week. It's got some guys coming off of injury. I know they've got a big whiteout night as well, or afternoon prepared for them. So the environment will be great. They got really good players, and our guys know that. So let's get to practice and practice to the best of our abilities.
Can I ask one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Last one for Coach.
Okay, just the mental and emotional bounce back after a game like that, for the players, how difficult is that, and how do you, as coaches, help them get
You
through
better
that?
shake it off. Shake it off. It's time to go. The ball's going to be placed in the tee at 3:30 on Saturday, so there's no time to wallow in that. Football is not, time waits on nobody when it comes to football. So the reality is we have an opportunity, a tremendous opportunity to get better. And we've shown that we've been able to do that this season a couple different times to bounce back and play really, really well. The tape right there told us enough. What the tape did told us the truth. That we're not playing to the best of our ability. We got to get better, and we have to develop a whole lot better to make sure we have the outcome that we want. So that right there should be more than enough motivation to go out and practice great and play as hard as we can.
Thank you very much, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.